le, egg, on, fui, oh. They're all prepositions. Réabhucal we call them in Irish. And they tell me about the next word. Something if you should Aaron Moore that was on the table. Cúig me leis Sean, I went with Sean. If you made egg on shoppa, I was at the shop. On is not a réabhucal, sorry. Fui, under. Chaf me pean fuin mór, I threw a pen under the table. For me, frontiness, oh, Eamon, I got a present from Eamon. Now there's more than they're just the first couple that came into my head. There's do, whatever, idir, whatever it may be. So there's two things that can happen here with a réabhucal. A réabhucal can appear before a word, preposition can appear before a word on its own, like this. Or the other way it can appear is where it's and the next word is on, and then. That's the only ways you're going to see prepositions in Irish. Preposition, and then the next word could be a name. It's usually a noun, a person, place, or a thing. Always will be a noun. So, board, on board. Shul, happening. Eamon, on Eamon. The bird shit on Eamon. You won't forget that example now. On, when it's on the. Egg on, at the. So this is when the comes into the sentence. And we need to understand the different rules associated with both. Is this tricky? Not particularly. Okay, I'll lie, it's a little bit tricky. No, it's not. It's simple enough. You do have to listen. It's going to be quicker, a lot quicker than the other two grammar points. This will be done. And what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it this week. We are going to do a couple of examples. And for the next 2 weeks, in your notes, I put in 3 sets of questions to do. Luckily for you, the questions are only fill in the blanks. It's only 1 word per one. So if I say there's 20 to do, you have to write 20 words out, which is the guts of 3 lines. So it's just 1 word. And what we're doing is, when we have the réabhucal, 9 times out of 10, the réabhucal is going to change the spelling of the word that's coming after it. So I need to teach you how, why, when all these things happen. And of course, this is the Irish language. Tiongan na Gaeilge Abba E. So there's going to be exceptions and a few little tricky things. And we're going to meet my only 5 friends in life. If you noticed beforehand, I seem to talk to myself a lot because I don't have many friends. But we're going to come across these bad boys. The dentals. People sometimes say to me, why is there no E and there's no A? Because they're not. It's not actually the word dentals. It's the letters D and TLS are very awkward in Irish. Remember sometimes when we're doing the... Don't worry with red. Remember sometimes we're doing this and it's like on tishkit. Like I should be putting a H there, but because this starts with an N and this starts with a T, I don't. I mentioned that to you. That's because of this rule here. This rule is called the dentals. And I'm going to talk to you about them as well. If you follow this very, very slowly, nice job, thoroughly with me, you'll be really fine. This is just practice. So I do this usually at the start of 5th year with all my students so they have a fair idea. So I hope you would have done it. If you haven't done it in 5th year, not to worry. I'm going to cover it with you now, so there's no need to panic. When do you put a séimhiú in and when do you put an uru in on a noun? This has nothing to do with verbs or asking questions. This is just to do with nouns. Prepositions and nouns. This is paper 1 book. 1, 2, 3. Follow me. That's the page number. And a Kate's 53. The séimhiú and the uru. So the first thing I'm going to deal with is the séimhiú. What's a séimhiú? When you put a H as a second letter in Irish. What are the letters that cannot take a séimhiú, first of all? Over here. Well, the first person that doesn't take a séimhiú in the Irish language is a girl. And she's a wagon, because she doesn't follow the rules, and she's a pain. Eleanor. L-N-R. She doesn't actually exist, don't worry. If your name is Eleanor, I apologise, Eleanor, I'm not talking about you. But Eleanor, the letters L, N and R in Irish will never accept a séimhiú. The next 5 are the gutti, the vowels. You can never put a séimhiú as the second letter after a vowel. You may at times have to put a H before these, but that is not a séimhiú. A séimhiú only is when it's the second letter. So look, Sean. On Sean, on board, on own, on a book. Okay? That's the thing there. You cannot put a Séimhiú on the letters L, N and R, and you cannot put a Séimhiú on the letters A, O, U, I, E. These are called, when I correct, I call these the mion botún, the minor mistakes. And with the minor mistakes, they come up everywhere. You're going to see them all over your essays, and you're going to see them all over the shra and all over the things, all over the reading comprehension. So they are everywhere, but they're not hard to remember once you get the rules right. So there's a couple of reasons why a Séimhiú might appear on a noun. So 1, 2, 3, let's go. A Séimhiú is when we put a H as the second letter of a word. I've explained that already. We can split the Séimhiú into 3 categories. Na réivheachal simply, like the simple prepositions. I'm going to call them out now in a minute. Na hifrcha, the numbers. I think I've spoke about this briefly already. And when you use these certain phrases, nor a, ma, sa, ro, on, dash, and gone. Okay, so we have to split them up into different categories. And we can not put a Séimhiú on the letters L, N, and R, and you can also add in the vowels. Look at that lovely grid that I've made out for you. Underneath, you're going to see a load of prepositions, so let me put them up here on the board. So the first group we're looking at, air, riv, de, do, idir, fui, o, tri, har, mar, Now, mar isn't really a preposition, but I've just stuck it in there because it gives the next word a H. It's not a réivheachal simply. But they will all give the next word a H. And you've got your examples there already. Okay? You might take this down, a bit of paper for me. Alright? So look at the examples there. V'ina Sean, Sean was surprised. Chuir fáilte riv fóil, I welcomed Paul. Okay? A lot of them use air. Some of the other ones use different things. Alright? But look, there's loads of examples there. You can read down through them. Air, on, riv, before. De, over, off. Do, for. Idir, between. Fui, under. O, from. Tri, through or by. Tri votin by mistake, or tri, I went through something. Har, over. Mar, because or as. And means it's talking about time. Trinona. Something's in the afternoon or something like that. Okay? So they're them there. With Irish, of course, we have a couple of exceptions. When you go to the top of 1, 2, 4, there's a few words in Irish when we're talking about state of beings that you can't say specifically what's going on, even though you know. For example, where you say something is airboard, like airboard train, like on board a train. You don't know whereabouts. There's no certainty to it, so you don't put in a H. Airfall, available. You don't know how or when or why it's available, so you don't put in the H. To be honest, don't be worried about them. They're going to confuse you, like air mod, another one in the morning. Just if you can learn 1 or 2 examples. The biggest one I would like you to learn from me is airfall B. Because in a lot of our essays, we're going to say what's available, what's not available, is there enough help available. Airfall, remember that doesn't take a H. That's the big one to remember. Alright? And again, we have a rule there about the dentals, but we can kind of come back to that in a minute, okay? Second set of rules, numbers 1 to 6. And I've told you this already. Make the next word take a H. If you remember, I said when we're counting objects in Irish, we don't count in the plural. We say number plus singular. So we say ein vod, 1 boat. Ga vod, 3 vod. I've done the example there with car and 1, 2, 5. Will you please fill in the example for boat? So 1 boat would be ein vod, B-H-A-V-O-D. 2 boats, ga vod. You never use the plural. So people sometimes say, so when do you bother use the plural at all in Irish? When you say the boats over there, when you're not counting them and there's just boats over there or people. So for example, let me think. So let's use the word cahir. The ga cahir and chin, or the ga cahir and chin. But tana kahirika, but the chairs are over there. So that's the difference. You use the plural when you're saying the something's over there, but when you're putting a specific number on it, you stick to the singular. Okay? So fill in that for me there. The only exceptions down below are the words kin, or cian, and blin. The word blin is awkward. When we're talking about the word blin, it's written there. So you've got like this, okay? So what you've got is, you've got a bhliain dísh, gá bhliain dísh, trí bliana dísh, no H. So this is called a ham, so it's like BH. This one's bliana, and this one's mlína, like that. Just like that, okay? Again, that word's awkward, but don't worry, you're not going to have to use it very often. The only time that I do want you to be able to say that's for your own age. So if you're 17, 18 or 19, it's seacht, ucht, ní, mlína, deag dísh, MB. If you're young doing your leave, so you're 16, sé bliana. Just get that right for your Irish oral. Okay, there's a couple of examples there. So you filled in both. So far we've got the réabhachail shimpli, the simple prepositions. They all give the next word a H where possible. We've got numbers 1 to 6. And the last group we have is nor, má, gan, ro, on, dash. These give the next word a H where possible. Now I have to be careful about 3 of them here, so I'm going to write them up here. Nor, write these up in your list as well. Nor, a, má, gan, ro, on. Okay, as I was saying, we've got these ones up here. And I'm going to have to put little asterisks beside these. These ones, and this is where it gets tricky. All these are fine. All these are fine. Those 2 are fine. The one I put the asterisks beside. No séimhiú if the word starts in a dental. So, for example, bhí sé gan dinid we used in the poem Gavin. He or she was without dignity. But he or she was without pride. Like that. Something is on simul, no H. But somebody is on cordial. There's your examples. So because that one started on an S and it's an on dash, that means very in Irish. Nor, at, when, ma, if, gone without, ro, to, too, too fat, too smelly, too old. Some of my traits. On dash, very. So something is very interesting or very friendly. Gone road without pride, take the H because there's no dental. So look. Same rule again, the N and the D's are clashing, the N and the S is clashing. Okay? Be wary of that. That's the third set of reasons why something would take a séimhiú. Now, there are 3 more. And I'll explain to you where these come in a second. I'll just write them in your list. These ones are a little bit different. So plus a H, but not for the dentals. Again, same idea. Just like that. If it starts on an S, you put a T before it. Put like a TS, like that. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Just write that plus a séimhiú, but not for the dentals. I'm not going to explain that because it's actually linked to the next bit. It's linked to the uru, and I'll explain that now. So these are the only reasons in Irish that when you see a noun, it may have taken a H. One of these words were before it. So it took a séimhiú. It was counting. Numbers 1 to 6 came before it. One of these came before it. Or finally, one of these. Okay? Just like that. The ones with the little asterisks, little... Sorry, what do you want to call them? These ones here will not give the next word a H if it starts on a dental. And it's easy enough to remember because you can't put a H on L or an N anyway, so it's just DTS you're remembering. Okay? That is when the séimhiú comes in. Get that written down somewhere.